NFC West Roundtable, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another edition of your favorite show, surrounded by the NFC West. As usual, we have the normal gallery right here, ready to break down everything that happened during the divisional round and then also leading up into the NFC Championship. Let's go around the table and see how everyone's doing. Have to start off with Jesse. What's going on with you, man? Listen, I guarantee you that your blood pressure is probably still at an all-time high. What's going on with you?
Oh, man, I'll tell you what, man. After all the trash that I talked and how the 49ers were going to the Super Bowl and the NFC was so easy and booking my tickets to the NFC Championship 4 weeks before the end of the season, yeah, my blood pressure was a little bit through the roof for that game, thinking I was about to lose out on a lot of money that wasn't going to be able to be refunded from flights and what have you. So all is good. 49ers are there. I will be there. Can't wait.
See, I didn't know that. I definitely want to unpack that once we talk about that game. But Jake, what's going on with you, man?
Oh, man. I think it's so funny because, Jesse, we were talking about this, how Vegas had him at 10. What did I say? I said that game is going to be closer. I have the Niners, but that game's going to be close. And that Packers team, man, they deserve a lot of credit because that's the youngest team in the NFL. It's the fifth youngest team in playoff history. And, I mean, I'll say this, okay? The time to beat the 49ers, the time to beat any number one seed is the divisional round. If you do not do the work, then that first seed is going to be ready to go. They're about to play their best game they've played all year, this championships. I believe that. So I'm doing well. I mean, still, the Rams content. I'm hearing Bo Nix to the Rams a lot from a lot of people. I'm not liking that. I haven't really gone into the draft like I normally do, but I will be doing that soon. I don't understand how you look at the way Stafford played in the last game of the year for the Rams and think, you know what? That team needs a quarterback.
So it's funny you say that, and I actually just ended up figuring out our topic for you because I want to hear all about Stetson Bennett and what the hell is going on. But anyway,
right.
We'll save that because I'm interested. What the hell is larger than football? We don't know. Norm, what's going on, man?
Hey, I'm just glad to be back here, man. I know my buddy Steezy was holding down the last couple of weeks, so I couldn't make it. So I appreciate him stepping in and doing an excellent job. And I just got to live up to my replacement now, or I might find myself on the carousel of coaches getting let go by teams. So I'm just glad to be here. I can't wait to talk about this game, man. I've never been a bigger Packer fan in my life than this weekend, and God dang it, was that just, entertaining game. I'll just start by saying that. We'll get into it later. But, man, it was great football weekend. I mean, these games were compared to the wild card round, these games for the most part were just off the hook. So, good weekend of football. Just not exactly all the results that we wanted. So, still a lot of fun.
And so I certainly relate with that. Mike, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Not much. I agree with Norm. Great football. Obviously, compared to the wild card weekend, we got some really, really good competitive matchups to the very end. So that's definitely really good as a football fan watching it. But yeah, definitely things that I saw over the weekend that kind of got me a little 49ers, what's up? I was waiting to come back on here to talk to Jesse. So I'm really excited about the show here. But yeah, listen, I'm good overall. I'm good.
I love to hear it. All right, guys. Well, we did tease this a little bit, and obviously we need to hear from Jesse here because that game was giving me anxiety, okay? And obviously the San Francisco 49ers, right? I mean, with Deebo Samuel going out, had to trust Brock into marching downfield and putting you guys ahead to end up taking care of business. Overall thoughts on the game by itself. Have there been any concerns that have raised due to that performance since it was so close for as long as it was? Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, as the game was going on, I actually felt pretty confident in the result that the 49ers were going to get it done. It was up until the huge run from Aaron Jones there late in the fourth quarter where I was like, oh God, 49ers might lose this. So the confidence level never wavered until that point. And then the missed kick came and I was like, this is it. The 49ers are going to get this. There's no way that they're going to lose to this team. They are the better team. They should have won this going away. But you had a Packers team that was hot. You had a Packers team that had just played the week before. You had the 49ers who may have come out a little bit rusty. And you had a 49er team in Brock Purdy who traditionally have not played well in the rain for whatever reason. And a lot of people talk about Brock Purdy and his hand size is the reason why, but reality is he has the same size hands as Patrick Mahomes. So I don't believe that's it. There's something else going on there that I would like to unpack maybe in the future, whether, do you sign Brock Purdy long-term knowing that he has these woes in the weather? But that's neither here nor there. What I do know is Brock Purdy, when he needed it most, clutched up, drove the 49ers down the field, not for a field goal, but for a touchdown to take that lead. And then Dre Greenlaw sealed it with his second interception of the night, coming up big play Dre. That's the reason they give him that name. Absolute baller, probably the most underrated linebacker in football. And the 49ers are moving on. But it was nerve-wracking. And Jordan Love very early in that game I thought looked good. I do think there were some calls that were questionable that went against the Packers. That 4th and 1 was an interesting one. I think also the spot on the 3rd down that led up to that 4th down was interesting. And then a potential face mask that was missed that could have gone the Packers' way. So I'm not the fan that's like overlooking those things and understanding that it was very close and that game could have gone either way. I'm just happy to come out with the win and still be looking for number 6.
Certainly a heart attack game indeed. But yet again, the 49ers do survive. Jake, what's going on, man? What were your thoughts on this game? I did hear you tease that once they got past the divisional, there's no way that they're losing another game for the rest of the year.
I don't see it.
Talk to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've said this before. I'll say it again. I think the easiest way to beat a number 1 seed is beat them coming off that bye. I mean, we've seen it before. Some teams handle it well, some teams don't. I do think the weather had a lot to play with the 49ers, so I don't think it was really that they were rusty. But I think it's just one of those things. I mean, you always have to, be cognizant of the fact, hey, we might come off this bye a little rusty. How do we respond? How do we get into it? And you just got to credit the 49ers to stay in that game where, your big time players, like a Christian McCaffrey could just make one more play. But also keep this in mind. And Jesse didn't bring this up, and I was surprised. They lost Deebo Samuel, and that team has not been able to win when Samuel leaves games. I think they didn't have one win in games that he left in the middle of. So they had to do some things that they haven't done before. Kyle Shanahan, winning a game in which they trailed, I think it was by 7 or whatever it was. But yeah, they had to do a lot of things we haven't seen. And that is, one of those things. I mean, hey, it's a little corny when, people say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And by them winning this game, I think they got stronger. I think they're playing a team that, the Lions, they're a great home team. But I saw Jared Goff on the road against the Ravens, and he absolutely folded. I think this is going to be one of those defenses with the 49ers. You pressure Goff, he turns into a lawn chair. And that's just how I feel. I really don't see this being that close of a game. Maybe there's some sour grapes, but I know the Rams matched up better. I think the Packers matched up better. I don't like the Lions matchup. I'm actually very concerned. I want the Lions to win. I have to. I'm a Rams fan, but I don't see it. And I feel like saying anything other than that would just be a disservice to the people listening, because I mean, that would just be me lying to you because of my fandom. I mean, in reality, let's just call it like it is. The 49ers are the better team. They've been the better team this year. And the Lions have proven that at Ford Field, they can beat anyone. But this is at Levi Stadium. And I don't love Jared Goff going up against Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead, Chase Young. I don't like him going up against, and keep this in mind. This is actually the most important thing. I don't like a guy who's thrown 56% of his passes of his career, including the postseason, over the middle, going up against the best team against throws over the middle. You have Greenlaw, you brought him up, Fred Warner. I do not see this going well.
Oh, my God. I think we're definitely going to have to go on ahead and unpack that a bit later. That was a excellent take, especially exactly on how that defense is going to play Goff. But Norb, all right, you did mention previously that you were rooting with all of your will for the Packers to pull that off. What were your overall thoughts on that game? Just let us know about your disappointment. And so you're muted, bro.
I'm really pissed off at the Packers, man. I mean, they let us all freaking down. Everybody in the NFC West should be, except for the 49ers, of course, should be pissed off at the Packers because the football gods gifted them that game. They gifted everything for them to win that stupid game. I mean, it was in their control. And as Jesse said, at that point when they had that big run down the field, when they got from the 10-yard line, I was like, oh, there it goes. This is it. They could get the dagger right here. And they screwed it up, man. And here's the thing. I think we talked about this before. It's like, what can stop the 49ers? And it would be the 49ers. And mainly injuries. And when Deebo Samuel went out, I was like, oh, okay, this is potentially the thing that might turn things around. And sure enough, the game was a lot closer without Deebo in there. Just goes to show how important Deebo Samuel is to this team. Christian McCaffrey, I think the clear front runner, as far as definitely the most valuable player on the 49ers. But Deebo Samuel's, he's a close second. But they should have won this game. They should have won this game. They had them rushing for so many yards throughout. And that's how, if you can rush like that, that's a team, the 49ers, you normally can't run against. And they were running all up and down the field, given all kinds of opportunities. But they screwed it up because freaking interceptions. First one, I get it. I mean, but it was a bad throw. The first one, Greenlaw's big play dupe. I could have caught that freaking interception. That came off the tight end's hands. It was a bad throw. It was high, bounced in the air. I was like, oh, God. There was an opportunity right there to get some distance, and they just gave it right back to him. That was bad. And then the throw at the end, they had 2 timeouts. They were midfield or whatever they were, but they had 2 timeouts. It was first down. What the hell was Jordan Love thinking throwing this ball? Was he Brett Favre reincarnated? Why are you throwing the ball across the field into double coverage? I think it was triple coverage. I mean, it was the dumbest throw he could have made all season, and he didn't have to do it. If it was 4th down, yeah, chuck it up. You got to put something out there. But why are you throwing this stupid pass? Throw it away, whatever, and live for 2nd down, 3rd down, 4th down. You got 2 timeouts, brother. And you just throw it away. Ridiculous. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I mean, he was playing pretty well through the whole game, and then he just has a mental meltdown. I don't know, lost his composure or something. But on top of that, the Packers, there was a pick 6 they should have had easy in the first half. Hit him right in the freaking chest. He looked like Jamal Adams trying to catch a football, my God. I just think, oops. I guess that's why I'm a defensive back and not a receiver. But it's just like, God, that guy probably would have taken to the house. It's definitely going to lead to 3 points. That's the difference in the game. That should have happened. I think there's at least another time when they should have had an interception. That was the difference, right? The turnover battle clearly landed in the 49ers side. So there was that. And then you talked about the bad spot. They should have fixed that spot because I think he did get that ball. But even then, it's like, I'm one of those guys, like when you're down close and you've got a field goal in hand, I tend to go for just take the points because you never know when that 3 points feels like, let's just go for it, see what happens. We can always get it later. But that 3 points is still 3 points that they could have used later on. And I know he missed the field goal later, but this was a chip shot. If he'd gone for the field goal, then it's a tie game. Who knows? This thing goes to overtime. Who knows what could have happened there? So that whole sequence there where they didn't getting any points off that drive when they got deep into the red zone was a big fail. So for a guy who doesn't even like the Packers, I was disappointed, livid, and as angry as I think a Packer fan could be who's not a Packer fan. I was a Packer fan for a night, and I'm not a freaking Packer fan anymore. They let me down, so I'm like, damn. So Lions all the way now. Screw it. We beat the Lions twice in the last 2 years, so I got that on them. So anyway, that's my feeling. Very frustrating, but freaking entertaining game, though, man. I mean, great football. And I got to give credit. I know I'm slamming the Packers, and I'm not giving the 49ers any credit. First of all, Dre Greenlaw, that interception, freaking Superman diving for that ball. That was a hell of a play.
You know Dre Greenlaw way too well, huh? 2019?
No, you don't have to tell me about Dre Greenlaw. He's like, he wakes me up in nightmares often from 2019, okay? But this guy, I mean, it's two clutch plays, right, that were huge in that game. But I know we'll probably talk about it, but Purdy, hand size, can't throw the ball in the whip. He sure looked pretty good on that last drive. I thought if he's going to fail because of, wet balls or whatever, he was pretty freaking clutch at the end. So I don't know why there's a lot of critics saying he's this and he's that and he sucks and he's overrated. He was pretty damn good at that moment when it counted the most, because throughout the game, there were times like, I don't know, maybe this is getting too big for him. But on that last drive, he was clutch. So, and of course, CMC to put the icing on the cake. So, damn it. That was a pretty freaking good closing drive. So props to the Niners because they got it done when they had to. And the other team didn't make the plays, and they did. Sucks. But
Mike,
congratulations.
Mike, what you got on this, man?
Yeah, he said it perfectly. Honestly, I kind of felt the same way that Norv has. This game, I was actually very surprised pertaining to I saw it too. All the crazy takes that were coming out from Brock Purdy ain't it. And this is coming from 49ers fans too. And I guess I can kind of see the frustration that comes from because, he wasn't playing his best. Now, when Deebo Samuel did go down, this offense didn't look to be that great. I mean, obviously, other than Kittle and McCaffrey, but I believe the announcer said something along the lines like you kind of have to have like all three of your guys, right? Your Deebo, your McCaffrey, and your Kittle. And it kind of felt right in terms of what we've been seeing. But obviously that last drive, kudos to Brock Purdy for getting it done. But man, there was a moment of me being like, really, is this the 49ers? But I guess I do have to realize that they didn't have Deebo, and they also didn't play for obviously an extended period of time. So there might have been a little rust there, but the grand scheme of things, I was really, really hoping for a Packers win. Not going to lie, obviously as a Cardinals fan, I would love to kind of see that. But honestly, I've said this before, and last week, what the matchup that I really, really want to see is Lions versus the 49ers. And I got what I wanted to hear in the grand scheme of things. So honestly, it's not that big of a deal. We're going to talk about Lions versus 49ers a little later on, but this is the matchup that I want to see. So give me the two best in the conference. This is what I'm looking forward to. So
Interesting. The 49ers survive and they advance. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to yet another edition of the NFC West Roundtable. Please make sure that you do smash that like button for us. Easiest way to support that channel. It ends up propelling it into the YouTube algorithm so more fans of the NFC West, or really anybody that's just rooting for the 49ers downfall, can find this particular episode going into it. Now, I mentioned Roundtable Sports, guys. This is one of many of the roundtables that we have over here. This is our fourth installment. Started off with the AFC East, NFC North, AFC South, and then now, of course, the NFC West. We plan on launching the other four next year, so we highly, highly, highly recommend that you do go on ahead and check out not only our main channel, but also at the exact same time, this channel as here. As you can see, we have all of these ready. We are avidly looking for new creators to go on ahead and fill those respective spots. And you do see that we do have our own game show on Roundtable Sports as well, called 3 and Out, where more exclusive shows will be dropping immediately. So certainly go on ahead and check that out. If you were just an NFL fanatic, certainly have a lot of awesome content all across all of our channels. Look at that. All right.
Is Dose B on your guys' Lions guy?
Oh, he is.
I love Dose. All right.
Dose is the man. Dose is the man. All right. All right, Jesse. It's the Lions, man. It's time to come into the Lions. And by the way, I definitely want to see if you two could actually have a debate show sometime this week. I think that would be interesting. But, okay, so going into this game, right, and I mean, really just based off of the performance that you had against the Packers, I'm seeing right now that the X-ray for Deebo did come back negative. It does appear that he is going to play. He's going to play through it. Does this change your perspective and your confidence level whatsoever? That's the first part of this question, especially since it shows that you guys have struggled when he is not out there. And then number two, how are you going to beat the Detroit Lions? What's the game plan going into it? And just your final score prediction and take.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when you're missing a big horse like Deebo Samuel, it definitely can be a situation where things get tense. But what's interesting is the 49ers last year missed Deebo Samuel for multiple games, and they put up tons of points and didn't lose any one of those games. This year, they went 0-3 during the regular season without Deebo, but also were missing Trent Williams in those games. So was it Deebo? Was it Trent? Was it the combination? Those are both big losses. And I think Deebo's certainly a big loss, but I think he's a bigger loss when it happens in the middle of a game because a game plan can be built around Debo. And I think that's what we saw in this game. Kyle Shanahan, if I have any gripes against him, he's a hell of a coach, but he is not the best at bending his game plans once he gets into it. He comes out with a game plan, he sticks with it. So much so that Jawan Jennings, to start the second half, ran the ball as if he was Debo Samuel. All 740 of Jawan Jennings. I don't know what the hell that was. He literally said it was a Ron Burgundy moment where he just called the play and forgot Debo wasn't there. I don't know how you do that in a playoff game with your life on the line, but that's exactly what happened. So here's my thoughts. They're going to build a game plan that's not centered around Debo Samuel, whether he plays or he doesn't. If he does play and he leaves early or is unable to finish that game, they'll be fine because they game planned around it. And if he doesn't play, I think they'll be fine as well, just because they have other talent. And I think Purdy is going to have himself a day against this Lions defense. The way they get it done is through the air in this one. I understand that CMC is phenomenal, the best running back in the game, arguably. But Brock Purdy coming off of a rain game, this game is going to be fantastic weather. That pass defense is piss poor for the Detroit Lions, and I expect Purdy to have a little bit of a chip on his shoulder in this game and go out and get it done. I think on his right arm is how they get it done against this Lions team, and that's what I expect to happen. I'm going to go... Oh, I'm trying to remember what I think I said 31-23 earlier in the week, so I'll stick with that score. We'll go 31-23, 49ers.
Bold prediction. Bold prediction. Mike, thoughts on this? And obviously, let me know where your interests, where your rooting interest is. That's number one. And then number two, just your overall prediction and take on this game coming up.
Yeah, I heard Jesse say, obviously, we're going to have Purdy have a chip on his. He better. I mean, I don't think he had a too great of a game. Now, I was reading the chat here, he did it while it mattered. And yeah, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, that's true. He did it while it mattered, but he needs to play better. He absolutely is. If he wants to play this Lions team, I'm probably higher on the Lions than anybody on this panel. I think the Lions are actually a pretty darn good team. Like when I'm looking at the stats, like Jared Goff and Brock Purdy, they're pretty kind of similar. Now, I think obviously Purdy's got a better QBR, but like interceptions to touchdown ratio, yards, they're pretty right there on there. Now, I think obviously if the Lions are going to be contending here, they got to run that damn ball. Like they got to run the ball. The Arizona Cardinals, when we played you guys, we put over 200 yards, and we've been hearing about this great defense stopping the run. They're so good at stopping the Arizona Cardinals. That's right, put over 200 yards on the 49ers the last time we played. That's James Conner, Amari DeMarcado, Kyler Murray, everybody. Michael Carter, we just went ahead and just got him off the waivers not too long ago. So if there's any keys to success for the Lions to beat you guys, I think it's actually there. I think there is a what is it called? There's a weakness there. There absolutely is. I thought you guys were untouchable. After seeing the Green Bay Packers game, I still do think you're going to win. Although, obviously, my hatred and my haterade is going to kick in here and say, I don't know. I truly want the Lions to pull this off. The Lions needs to come out here and run that damn ball down your throat. And that's Montgomery as well as Gibbs. If they do that and let Goff just do the very bare minimum like Brock Purdy might be able to, I think they have a fair chance. I think you guys will win. Do I want that? Hell no, I don't want you guys to win. I want to see the Lions go, but I do think that they're going to give you a much tougher effort than people are expecting. I'm going to say 49ers win, unfortunately, 32-29. I know such a weird number, but I'm going to say the 49ers win.
32-29.
Okay.
It's all right, Norb. I know exactly who you're pulling for. What's your take on this game? What are you thinking? So you're muted, Norb.
All right. I keep doing that, saving my energy here. All right. So, Lions at Niners. No doubt you know what team I'm rooting for. Now, can they get it done? Let's see. Let's really look at this, right? Lions looking pretty good in that comfy dome of theirs. So now they got to get to that slippery, unpredictable, kind of questionable grass surface that everybody seems to struggle on. In the 49ers territory. Like you said, you guys made the point, they're not very good on the road. I'd love to say that the Lions are a fantastic team that can withstand anything, but hell, the Seahawks beat them twice in the last two meetings, so how good can they really be? However, despite that, I still think they have a chance. And if they do, this is how they're going to do it. Because the reason the Seahawks have beaten them the last 2 times is because their head coach screwed it up. He screwed it up. And I'm going to bring it around back to that point I said earlier about how the Packers screwed it up. The Lions coach, as we all know, is very aggressive, right? He's the kind of go for it on 4th down. We're not kicking the field goal. We're going to go for it. We're biting kneecaps. Screw all that field goal stuff. We're going to go aggressive. Well, that's the reason why they lost to us. It was an overtime game. Last year it was like a shootout. This year it was an overtime game, and we won it in the final walk-off Lockett touchdown. We shouldn't have won that game, though. They could have beaten us easy throughout that game if they had just settled for the points. So, number one thing, if I were to give any advice to the Lions, is that if you have a chance to put points on the board in the red zone, do not be stupid like the Packers. Do not be stupid like yourselves when you play the Seahawks, and take the freaking points. Kick the field goal. It's not sexy. It's not kneecap biting, but take the damn points, because you will be lucky to get that shot later. And then you'll be losing by 3 and go, God, how'd we lose by 3? Oh my God, what happened? Because you didn't take the stupid points, dumbass. So they got to be smart enough to take what you can get, especially when you're on the road against the 49ers. Okay? I know, because we played them and we lose a lot to them. So you take the points. All right. Secondly, the other key to this, they got to run the football. You said it, Mike. They got to run the football, and they have a good offensive line. They've got good running backs. These guys can be productive, but they're gonna have to stick and commit to the run. Yeah. They can't get away from it, and they certainly can't get into doing. They can't go Packers on these guys. Just don't be the NFC North, for God's sake. Don't turn the ball over. Don't make dumb throws. Protect the football. If you do those basic things, they will be in this game. It's going to be close, all right? The 49ers scare me. They're the better team. But the Lions can beat the better team if they just execute and play smart. And if they can do those small things. They're going to have to get pressure on Purdy, because I think Purdy, once you get him a little rattled, he's not the same guy as when he's comfortable, got the lead, CMC's rushing for 100+, then everything goes Brock's way. But you get things where they get behind. You get them around. Maybe there's a sack. Maybe there's a turnover. Maybe there's a sack fumble. One of those types of things. Then I think the game changes. And I don't know, Debo, if he's not 100%, that might be something that might help slide into the Lions' favor.
Yep,
but if you have 100% Debo, man, all these things I'm saying might all be for naught, because, damn, the 49ers good when you got all you guys healthy. That's why it pisses me off the Packers screwed up, because Deebo wasn't even in the game, for God's sake. How can you blow it when Deebo Samuel is not in the game, and you blew it, Packers? I'm sorry. I'm a broken record.
It's going to be a pissed off Deebo. It's going to be a pissed off Deebo, too, because Deebo Samuel and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson had a back and forth week 6 and week 7 all over Twitter, all over social media, calling each other out. And now they're going to face off in this game. And Rams fans know very well that the disrespect for Deebo Samuel doesn't go in your favor when Deebo Samuel comes out ready to play. So if he is healthy, I expect a massive game from Deebo Samuel.
It's a shoulder, right? It's a shoulder injury?
Same shoulder that he missed earlier this season, but earlier this season it was a hairline fracture. This one, there's no fracture.
Negative,
so.
Right?
Yeah.
So anyway, so I think it's going to be close. We're doing score predictions now. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm not gonna concede like some of my other brethren here and say, well, I want them to win, but I don't think they will. I'm gonna say I want the Lions to come in here and win, and I believe they could do it. And I think it's gonna be close, and they're gonna win by this score. It's gonna be the Lions 30, the 49ers 27, and they win by a field goal. Not because they kicked it at the end, it's because they kicked it earlier. And they took the points in the first quarter, and they go, look, that's a good thing we kicked it on 4th and 1 at the 15 because we won by a field goal. Hallelujah. We're going to the Super Bowl. There you go. That's my take.
Love it. Jake, what you got, man?
Well, come on. I have to step in after that. I can't match that. What the hell, man?
I'm just a crazy lunatic ranting. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Oh, man. Well, all right. So let me. All right, I'm going to try and do this without being a salty asshole, because this is how I feel about the Lions right now. I want to be very honest right now. You watch March Madness, right? All of you guys, right? You know the number 1 seed, okay? Oh, I truly feel like the Rams were essentially like the 1 seed in that area where they would have played the Niners, and the Lions were like that 16 seed that they're so happy they finally won. And then they play the team that just had a huge upset as well, and they beat them because they're not very good. And then they get absolutely trounced in the next, which then makes the pathway for the other 1 seed that much easier. I see it all the time as a Kansas fan when they get knocked out. It's always like, oh, yay, we won. And then they get absolutely clapped in the next round. That's, I guess, my real concern about the Lions. They played the Rams, then they played the Bucks. I mean, the 49ers would have beat the Bucks by 4 touchdowns. That is not a good Buccaneers team. That's not a good Buccaneers team. The Lions could lose to any team in the league right now because their secondary is that bad. And I understand it's a 1-game thing, but I don't understand. Like when I'm trying to go through it, I don't know how there's a scenario that they win. Like I can't figure it out. That secondary is so bad. And in order for you to really believe that, you have to believe that Brock Purdy can't simply make good throws that for guys that are open. I mean, like either that or they're going to hold the whole time and swallow the whistle. And we already saw that in the second half of the Rams game, but they can't do it the whole game. Right. So I'm looking at like their schedule throughout the year, and keep in mind, Jesse, I've said this, the Lions were my pick to go to the Super Bowl and play Burrow and the Bengals. Burrow gets hurt, changes everything. This Lions team isn't as good as I thought they would be. They're not bad. They got an explosive offense. I don't know where the hell they'll be after Ben Johnson leaves them, but they got an explosive offense right now. They got a great offensive line. Jared Goff is Joe Montana when he's protected. When he's not, though, he's a lawn chair. And that's my concern, is that every single issue about Jared Goff, okay, yes, I'm still salty a little bit. Every issue about Jared Goff, because I watched him since 2016, okay, and I'll tell you right now, he's got all the arm talent in the world. When he's protected, he's unstoppable. Like truly, like I can't even believe, like when you're watching him, you're like, Jared Goff's one of the best quarterbacks in the league when he's, protected. And then people, step in and be like, well, so is every other quarterback. Like, nope, not really. But here's the thing. I mentioned it earlier. 56% of his throws are over the middle. What do you think the 49ers do better than anybody? They take away the middle throw. So now you have to have Goff going to the boundary. Well, that you don't want to have Goff do that. And now he has to do that when you're telling me Arik Armstead is going to be in his face, when you have Nick Bosa coming off the outside. You have Chase Young. You have the blitzing Dre Greenlaw or Fred Warner. They're so athletic. And then I'm not even like, that's the thing. I'm so hung up on the defense that like I haven't even talked about the offense yet. I just like I'm just not understanding. And I'm rooting for the Lions this weekend, right? Like I'm not trying to sit here and I'm not biased. I'm not a 49er fan. I'm quite the opposite. But I like genuinely football wise don't know how the Lions win this game. If this was at Ford Field, okay, maybe. But I just like, again, going back to their offense, I mean, yeah, okay, the Lions can score, and we know that, but the 49ers can score. And the 49ers can get that one stop that the Lions defense simply cannot do. And, they're holding out like, oh, we beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the divisional round. You gave up over 340 yards to Baker Mayfield. You gave up, you would have given up 500 to Stafford the way he was going. I mean, this secondary is the worst secondary in the history of the playoffs. I think this is by far the worst secondary I've ever seen in the history of the playoffs. Forget about the fact that they're playing in the title game. In championship weekend, there's never been a worse secondary. This is absolutely pedestrian. And when you have guys like Brandon Ayuk who are just monsters, when you have that ability, the footwork, the release package he has, like I'm watching that. George Kittle, like their best chances for Kirby Joseph to do what he did with TJ Hawkinson and Tyler Higbee. Because, I mean, George Kittle, Debo's going to be back. And I haven't even talked about Christian McCaffrey, who's the best damn running back in the league and was up there for MVP. I think really, if I was going to give the Lions any sort of chance, Trent Williams went down with an injury. If Trent Williams went down with an injury, I'd say the Lions would have a chance. But one, we don't root for injuries here. Let me be clear. And two, I don't think that's going to happen, and I hope it doesn't happen. Because the thing is, this 49ers team can be beaten, and they'll likely be beaten by a team like the Ravens, potentially be beaten. They're not losing to the Lions, guys. I'm sorry. And I'll admit, like, if they lose, like, I'll come on here, like, I'll admit that, and I'll be happy doing it, right? But I just don't see it, and I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys because I want it to happen. Like, football wise, it doesn't make sense to me. And I respect your guys' opinions, obviously, but I'm trying to go through it, genuinely trying to find like a way that this could happen. And I understand Lions have a good offensive line, but like Tampa wasn't getting as much pressure as the Rams were getting. And the Rams don't have a premier pass rusher. Like, obviously Aaron Donald's great, but you just triple team him, right? Triple team, quadruple team. If the other guys aren't winning, there you go. You just won the battle at the line of scrimmage. Tampa wasn't even getting more than that. San Francisco is going to be something that they haven't seen. Like, they haven't seen that since, the Ravens game. I mean, very quick, guys. Do you remember the score of the Ravens game on the road?
It's like 30-something to 6.
38 to 6. Yeah. I'm not saying that's where it's going to go, but I'm going to say final score here. I'm going to take the 49ers to win 34-13.
Damn.
I really do. It is a nightmare matchup for the Lions. And if I'm wrong again, I'll admit it. But it is a nightmare matchup for the Lions. The nice storybook road is about to end, and it's not going to be pretty.
That poor city of Detroit.
Kind of.
Yeah. I forget that's public enemy number one.
Almost as bad as that poor city of Buffalo.
Oh God, no!
Come on, Dan. Dan,
I wasn't throwing you under the bus, man. We talked before the show.
Yeah. Hey,
I feel for you, man. I was as much of a Bills fan as I was a Packers fan this weekend.
Oh, hey, yeah. Man. I think America were Bills fans. I think everyone's tired of the Chiefs at this point.
And you know what? I think this is actually a great segue because I do have a question. I want to start off with Jesse, and then everyone feel free to chime in whenever you feel like it. But Jesse, all right? Everybody appears outside of Norb to believe that you're going to walk away with the victory and make it to Vegas for the Super Bowl, right? If you had to choose a team to play in the Super Bowl, okay, what is a more favorable matchup in your eyes, the Kansas City Chiefs or the Baltimore Ravens going into it? Obviously, you did play the Ravens earlier this season. We know what happened, but who do you want to face in the Super Bowl if you do advance in the NFC Championship?
Man, okay. Well, I mean, here's the thing about the Ravens, and Lamar Jackson is now 20-1, I believe, against the NFC. That's a real stat. There's a reason for that. Teams that are not used to Lamar Jackson, they can't catch up and figure him out. However, the 49ers have now played him this season, so they would get a second crack at this whole thing, and I think that would be helpful. Also, looking at both these matchups, the 49ers have been to 2 Super Bowls pretty recently and lost to the Ravens and the Chiefs. So one way or another, they have a chance to get some get back. I know this sounds crazy, wishing for the boogeyman and Patrick Mahomes, but that Ravens team is so stacked. They have so much depth. They don't have any weaknesses that I can think of. They're only getting healthier. And Lamar Jackson is the single, I would say him and Josh Allen are the 2 hardest players in the world to game plan for. So if I have my choice, I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs. I would rather play Patrick Mahomes and his cast of characters on offense, very good defense, than the Baltimore Ravens. I think the Ravens are just elite through and through, and that would be a very, very, very tough game for the 49ers. So give me the Chiefs.
And so what's the table think about that?
Jesse's trying to rewrite the NFL script. Because we all know
Yeah.
it's been pre-scripted before the year started. It was supposed to be
Yeah,
the
it has been.
49ers, right?
It's the
That's
logo.
what the script is.
It's the
Colors, yeah.
logo. It's
The
the
news.
local news stations. Everything
Yeah.
along
Oh
those
my
lines,
God.
man. Listen,
The
right.
sports book. Did you see the sports?
the sports book too, man. Dude, you know what, man? Like you scroll through Target and you just see Ravens and 49ers merch being advertised right in front of you. I'm just kidding. All right, Table. Think about it. All right. What team, all right, has the best chance of losing to the 49ers? Like, what is the more favorable matchup for the 49ers? We start off with Jake.
It's definitely the Chiefs. This is not
Yeah.
a good Chiefs team. This is Patrick Mahomes carrying this Chiefs team, kicking and screaming. And had the Bills been just a little bit healthier, they win that game. So, yeah, I mean, we've watched a lot of Chiefs teams. And, I mean, I got to say, this is the worst Chiefs team since Patrick Mahomes was drafted. I mean, would you guys disagree? I mean, I watched this team and I'm like, you know, Rashee Rice, like, thank God that he had turned into something. Because, like, what did they have before he developed? You know,
Yeah.
I mean, Travis Kelce, it's amazing how he could make declining look like when you see on the stat sheet and you're like, he had almost 1,000 yards, but he didn't look good doing it. You know, I mean, that guy's starting to show his age. You know, credit to Steve Spagnuolo as well. I got to give him credit. That defense has done a better job than years past. But I just, to me, the 49ers, it would just be Patrick Mahomes versus Tampa Bay all over again. Like, I just don't think. And again, like, they got away with the Bills game. But if the Bills play that game healthy, and the 49ers are about as healthy as you could be at this point in the season, they don't have Talanoa Hufanga, I know that. But they're about as healthy as you could want to be, essentially, at this point in the season. Playing a healthy 49ers team, like, that would be a blowout. That would be a Super Bowl that people don't want. I think Ravens, 49ers, I mean, let's be honest here. History repeats itself, and it often does. The team that won in the regular season typically loses in the, postseason. So, I mean, I think it's going to be 49ers over the Ravens anyway. But the best chance, to lose, Chiefs, without a doubt. Weakest team.
So, Norm, what do you think on that?
Well, I hate to say it, but that script looks awfully accurate at this point. But I mean, it's of course, it's the number ones going against each other. So It's not like you're reaching like, oh my God, what a shocking prediction. It's the number one against the number one. I mean, it's been that way for how many months now? So, I mean, it's no real shock. But, I agree. Kansas City, while they've been coming up strong late, they're definitely not the strongest version of the Chiefs. Now, again, last year, the Chiefs got it done, and Mahomes was on one leg practically, right? And he still got it done. So he's at least a healthier version of himself. And, man, Pacheco, man, that dude, that guy is Energizer Bunny out there running around. He makes me look calm. But that dude, when he runs, he's just got fire. He's just like, it's like, so, if those guys can, much like all these teams, right? If their running game is working, then everything else is just so complimentary. But, man, watching the Ravens, though, I mean, they started out kind of slow in that divisional game. It was like 10-10. Uh-oh. And then second half, which is pretty much what they've done to everybody. Yeah. When we played them, earlier in the year, it was kind of close. It was like tied in the first quarter. Oh, we have a chance. Oh, no, I don't think so. We got murdered in the second half, and they just kind of exerted their will. And it's just, man, watching Lamar Jackson, that dude is on a whole nother level, man. That's just like, get the controller out, and it's just like, okay, it's time to put Lamar Jackson on. Pew! I mean, it's not even humanly fair when that dude gets going. So, I don't know who could stop those guys, because they're not only just a juggernaut on offense, but, we got the tight end back, and then their defense is playing lights out. Just like you said, man, this team is like, there's hardly any warts on this team. So I don't know how you can't have the Ravens, in the Super Bowl. And, I don't know how you said, Jake, you thought the 49ers were going to beat the Ravens. And we saw what happened the first time. And like you said, yeah, it's hard to beat a team twice. 49ers swept us 3 times last year. So it can happen. They could take them down twice. I just don't see how. Again, injury, something fluky happens. But, man, if the Ravens play their game, I think they're awfully hard to to beat, unless the NFL decides, you know what, the Taylor Swift effect
Oh God,
is making us hundreds of millions of dollars.
The Taylor Swift versus
man.
Eminem. Yeah.
When
Taylor Swift
there's a
versus
crucial
Eminem Super
call,
Bowl.
when there's a crucial call, we need the Chiefs to get a first down. Just throw that holding flag, all right? Let's.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Holding, illegal contact, somebody on the other team, first down, Chiefs. You know, so I don't know. Maybe something like that will happen, but I can't see it not being the Ravens versus the Lions in the Super Bowl.
You worry, Dan? Videos changing history.
Changing the world as we speak right now. Rewrite that script. Better ending. No.
Favorable matchup, definitely Chiefs. There's no doubt about that. Lamar Jackson is playing out of his mind. That divisional game versus the Texans, like, yeah, that kind of really reminded me of like when we thought Cardinals versus the 49ers were like, oh, we're close. And then like the half comes around, they completely stomp, the opposing team as they should have. That Ravens team looks really, really good. Lamar Jackson's playing very well. So for favorable matchup, definitely Chiefs. I would love to see Lamar Jackson go to the Super Bowl, especially with all the hate he kind of gets with the playoff stuff. But obviously he's turned it around this year, so good for him for that. But I do think, as you guys are saying, the script has already been. It's gonna be Ravens versus 49ers. It is. And I think 2012 is what happened. That the Ravens completely was like blowing the 49ers out, and somehow the lights went off, and then you guys came back, and it was just really, really weird Super Bowl. But I think it's gonna be kind of similar to that. The Ravens are just, I think, the far superior team.
I do want to say this though. I disagree with Jake. I don't think the Chiefs 49ers Super Bowl would be a blowout at all. I look at that Chiefs defense, very, very good defense. I mean, they're good on all three levels. Two very, very good corners, two very good athletic linebackers. Obviously, you have Chris Jones on the defensive line. I think that defense keeps them in games, and anytime Patrick Mahomes has any chance, if he's given an opportunity to win a game, he will win the game. I don't care what's around him. So that matchup isn't a walk in the park by any means. I think that game is also close and could be tight, but I just think the Ravens are a far superior team, really, than most teams in the league. I mean, this is nothing against the Chiefs, but the Ravens are just absolutely stacked, man. Absolutely. They're going to lose a lot of players this offseason, maybe a lot of coaches. They've got to get it done this year as well, but man, that team is a throwback elite team, man. They run the ball, hard-nosed defense. They're just good, man. They're really, really good.
I watched the Rams play them off a bye in Baltimore, and I was like, this team is going to be in the Super Bowl. I was watching this. I'm like, and the Rams played really well. I thought at one point, like during that game, because before that I was like, I don't know. I think, wild card team, whatever. And I started to believe that they could actually make the Super Bowl and play the Ravens again during that game, because just that was crazy. But isn't it funny, Jesse, how the two teams on the AFC side, you have a chance to get revenge on either one. That's rare. That's cool. A rarity.
It is rare. It is, and I'll give you a little added salt to this whole thing. My 9-year-old son, is a Baltimore Ravens fan. So that adds some intrigue.
Wait, how did that happen? Hold on.
Where did you go wrong?
I'll give you the story. I'll give you the story. So, as you know, Madden, very, very popular with the youngsters. So he's playing Madden. He's using the 49ers. He's a Deebo Samuel guy, but he's 6, 7 years old, whatever. And Jimmy Garoppolo sucks. So he starts exploring with other teams and stumbles across Lamar Jackson, who everybody loves in Madden. Who doesn't want to be Lamar Jackson? Then he starts watching him and realizes he's just as good as he is in Madden. Now he's a Ravens fan. Thank you, Jimmy Garoppolo. Much appreciated, man. Much appreciated.
That will go away. Give it time. I was a Red Wings fan because I had no upbringing in hockey. And now I like, the Devils.
If I show you pictures of my house during Ravens games, it's like the Ravens came in and threw up all over my house. I mean, I've got Ravens blankets and stuffed animals and 4 Lamar Jackson jerseys and hats. And no, I think it's over. I think it's over.
My dad would kick me out of the house.
So do you refuse to buy him Ravens merch?
No, I'm not that petty. I actually, when the 49ers aren't playing the Ravens, I want him to be happy. So I'm like, all right, I hope the Ravens win so you're happy. But in a Super Bowl, it's like, I'm sorry, kid, you're going to have to learn tough losses. And we all go through them. So it's going to be.
Oh my God, what was your son saying to you right after that last matchup?
He actually picked the 49ers to win that game, but said that the 49ers would lose in the Super Bowl to the Ravens because he figured the neutral field, Mark Andrews being back, would be the difference. And so he was ecstatic when the 49ers won that game. Or, I mean, excuse me, when the Ravens beat the 49ers, he was ecstatic.
Sounds like he'll be an analyst.
Yeah.
Well, at some point on Madden, Baltimore is going to go back to being bad when Lamar Jackson's no longer playing on there. So maybe at some point he'll be like, man, the Ravens suck. I got to pick a different team. So
he'll be like 20 by then. Good luck.
He'll be playing Madden.
Oh, man.
33. Who knows what it'll be like then.
He's built for the pain. Guys, so with everybody watching, definitely do us a favor and go ahead and smash that like button. Let's get over 100 likes. I certainly think that we can do that. 368 of you watching right now. Sincerely appreciate it.
We've already broken 108. We're at 107 likes
now.
now.
Well, let's go for 150. I think that is completely fine. Let's go ahead and smash that like button real fast and definitely subscribe right to this channel, guys. We certainly have quite an awesome off-season plan as well, moving on into the 2024 regular season and obviously all of your NFC and AFC championship coverage and Super Bowl as well. Now, we are approaching the 1 hour mark, so very quickly, I have an individual question for each and every single one of you, and then we'll go on ahead and we'll wrap this up. I want to start off with Norb. Norb, there are 2 specific head coaching candidates, all right, that have been circulating around the Seattle Seahawks camp, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, okay, which one of these names, and please let me know. I had it right in front of me. I totally lost it. Would you prefer, or is there a dark horse out there that you would prefer to take over and fill Pete Carroll's shoes?
So you say there's 2. There's a lot of names that have been thrown around, but are there like particular 2 that you had in mind, or am I just supposed to throw out the 2 that are like the most commonly talked about?
I would say the 2 that are most commonly talked about. I can go ahead and search my history right now. I'm not sharing my screen now. Yeah.
If I were to guess, my guess is that, well, there's a few, because some people said they would love to have, Jim Harbaugh here, and there's also Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn is.
Avero. So I've seen Avero, and then I've seen Patrick Graham as well.
Wow, those aren't even 2 on my list right now.
Yeah,
I'll tell you the ones that I guess are on my list, because there's a lot of names thrown around.
Ugly.
So I have 2. And I've kind of got one that's from the defensive side and one from the offensive side. So I was one before Pete Carroll got fired. I put out a video and I said, I don't think he'll be fired. So I was wrong about that. But I said, I don't think he'll be fired. But if he is, there's one guy who I would welcome if he were the replacement. And that was Dan Quinn. I got to say that it still is Dan Quinn if they're going for a defensive guy. There's just obviously the history when he was here during the peak times of when we went to the Super Bowls, 2013, 2014. He's got the head coaching experience. He's a defensive guy. Our team badly needs a serious improvement on the defensive side of the ball. We're nowhere near what we used to be. Don't know how to tackle. I'm not sure what happened there. So he's got the culture, obviously was around Pete Carroll during the time of the heyday. So, and they talk about how they want to keep the culture in Seattle. So he was the guy who I had as kind of like my initial first thought. And that was before I knew all the other coaching candidates. So he was I'm sticking with that one on number 1 on the defensive experienced coach side. But then these Lions we've just been speaking about for the last hour. Ben Johnson, a guy I barely paid attention to until like the last few weeks. All of a sudden, Ben Johnson, man, I'm watching that game going, damn, I like this offense, this way these guys run this thing, and the plays and the unpredictability. I was like, I kind of like what this guy's doing. I see what everybody's talking about. So I know he's highly sought. It sounds like there's a lot more likeliness that he might go to a Carolina or a Washington, but nothing's done yet because they're just talking right now, right? But I guess if I were to go offensive side, we just lost our offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron, to the Chicago Bears, and I guess he's taken our passing game coordinator too. So we have holes to fill on our coaching staff. We don't
That's
have
a win.
And it's funny, I posted about that. Hey, he's going to the, and I was like, good riddance. And I don't think one person said, oh, that's too bad. What? Why is he leaving? Everyone's like, good, get rid of him. So we've got some holes to fill. So when I realized, okay, we got not only a head coach position, but we got an offensive coordinating department to figure out here. All of a sudden it's like, Ben Johnson looking all the more, intriguing at this point. So I know a lot of fans kind of turned. I would say most fans in Seattle were like 70% wanted Dan Quinn. And then they watched that Dallas Cowboys final playoff game. And all of a sudden like, maybe not. But are you really going to just judge a guy on one game versus the entire, years that they've had of coaching experience? So, but then I'm guilty of the same thing. I'm looking at Ben Johnson over the last 3 weeks going, man, damn, this guy looks pretty good. So I don't know. I guess right now I'm really liking what Ben Johnson brings to the table. I don't know him as far as like head coaching material. I mean, I just see him from what the offense is doing for the Lions. And I like where it's going. I'd love to see that with the weapons. If he can do that with Detroit, with Jared Goff and those weapons, I'm thinking, man, if he could do that with a quarterback here, who we don't know who that's going to be yet, that's still a big question mark. But all the other weapons around that he could throw to, I feel like there's a lot of potential there. So Ben Johnson would be my other choice. So those are my two.
Beautiful. All right. And now that I have Jake here, what the hell is going on with Stetson Bennett? And most people probably don't even want to know this. I just want to know this. All right. What the hell is going on with Stetson Bennett, my friend?
Well, what I can say is I don't feel confident he ever plays another down for the Rams again. Just like that's really all I can say on that without getting too much into it. But yes, I don't think he plays another down for the Rams again. I don't know if he plays another down in the NFL. What I think needs to be talked about is the fact that, yeah, I know people are going to talk about Stetson's arrest, right before the draft. And I guess that's fair. But he went through a really dark time, with the death of his teammate, with Jalen Carter. And I feel like a lot of people forget about that. And I don't know if that has anything to do with this, but I kind of suspect it has something to do with it. Also, the transition in the NFL is not an easy one. And it's not like he went to the Senior Bowl. He actually, when he got arrested, he was partying. So I'm not going to speak on anything where, I don't know if he's battling depression. I don't know if he is an alcoholic. I can't comment on that. I know that he was on the non-football injury illness list, / illness, and was, done for the whole year. They don't seem like he'll be back this year. I mean, based on the way Sean, the way Les are talking, it doesn't sound like he's going to be back. What I keep saying in, my videos is the smart thing is to assume he never plays football again and just make sure you have that backup behind Stafford, because I love Stafford. I think Stafford is one of the best quarterbacks in football. And honestly, when he's healthy and he's on, there's not many ahead of him, but he's one of the older active quarterbacks in the league. He's the second oldest behind Aaron Rodgers. When Aaron Rodgers is out like this year, Matthew Stafford is the old man of the league, believe it or not. So you have to have somebody behind him. And watching the way Carson Wentz played in week 18, the way he was able to run that offense and add almost like a new wrinkle into that offense, I think that's really intriguing. The problem is the Rams also had a guy similar who they got towards the end of last year, started a few games, Baker Mayfield. He just started in the divisional game as a starter for the Bucs. He was on the Rams last year. They wanted to bring him back. He wanted to stay in LA, but he knew there wasn't a starting role for him, and he knew he was a starter. To me, with Carson Wentz, I think all of the questions about if he can start in this league and, the locker room BS, I think that needs to be gone. This guy can start in the league. He's definitely a top 32 quarterback in the NFL. Simple. And I think there's going to be at least one team that let the Rams kind of do that trial and error thing. They're like, okay, well, it worked out with the Rams, so we'll bring him in and we'll give him a chance to start. But if Carson Wentz isn't a starter and he doesn't get that job, my guess is he'll be back with the Rams. I think they're going to look at guys like Tyrod Taylor. I think they'll look at guys like Ryan Tannehill, Drew Lock. I saw mentioned in the chat by Norb. I think Drew Lock becomes an option. I think Gardner Minshew's an option. But the big thing is, guys, as we learn throughout the year, like we haven't seen a year like this in a while where a bunch of quarterbacks got hurt the way this year it was. You have to have a backup. Yeah. Like, I was just saying on another show, I mean, there are people saying the Rams should go out and draft a quarterback in the first round and try to do what the Jordan Love thing is. I'm not worried about that. What I'm concerned right now is the fact that right now the Rams have proven that they are ahead of schedule and that looking at this team, they can compete for a Super Bowl next year. And if you are not putting yourself in position to do that and you're focusing too, down the road and you're trying to force this Jordan Love thing with, say, Bo Nix, you're not helping you're not doing what is in the best interest of your football team. So, with Stetson Bennett, I think you have to assume he's not playing. I don't know if that means he'll be back next year or the year after or ever. But when it comes to the Rams, they finally had a backup quarterback for the first time since Mark Bulger. That was a while ago. I really feel like they got to bring back Wentz, but I think that is such an important thing. And I didn't have an issue with what they did with Bennett, bringing him in as like a long-term backup, but I don't think you can draft a quarterback to be your backup. I think, it really showed you this past year what Flacco was able to do with that team, in Cleveland. Just having that veteran, I think really helps. And if you want to just, use a guy like Jake Browning as like an argument against that, I'd say Jake Browning was in that system for how long? And that's the thing. You can't just have a rookie come in and be your backup. It's sometimes it works, but there's a big reason why Flacco, why Mason Rudolph, those guys were able to, obviously Flacco's older, but Mason Rudolph in age, 27, 28, he's been in the league for a little bit. So I think it's going to be interesting the way this season went, how the backup quarterback market looks in the offseason. Because, guys, I have a feeling we're about to see some expensive backup quarterbacks. Supply and demand. I think we're going to see a little bit of a renaissance where all of a sudden, you start seeing guys like, Ryan Tannehill even taking a $9 million deal just to be a backup quarterback. Like, I think we're in that position where it's like, I mean, you have everything set up. You play 17 games. You lose your quarterback in week 16. Don't you at least want a guy like Tannehill that you think can run the system for at least another game or two and try to make something out of it, instead of just kind of saying, you know what, we're going to roll with our practice squad guy who has no experience. Sorry, all that work you guys put in. We're just going to be that team that just hopes we have Kurt Warner in our back pocket. And I just don't think that is conducive to winning football.
You can have Sam Darnold if you want.
That's another name. I actually like the idea of getting Sam Darnold on.
Bring him over there. You can take him.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's mobile. You get him on a 2-3-year deal behind Stafford.
Sammy D, man.
Hey.
All right. Well, I mean, we can't end the episode without talking about the Cardinals here.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Can't end the episode without talking about it.
Not about me. I'm like,
right?
We don't have
Mike, Mike, I'll tell you what, man. Everything I'm seeing, it's looking like that you guys are set on taking Marvin Harrison Jr. With that third. It seems to be almost a for sure thing at this point, unless something crazy happens, like Chicago takes him instead of Caleb Williams, et cetera, et cetera. And then afterwards, I saw some reports that you're probably going to invest in the offensive line. I'm looking at your cap, and you have quite a bit of cap, I would say. And once some cuts are made or even some restructures, you would have even more. Are there any slept-on holes that not a lot of people are talking about that could also be something that you would consider to be a top priority that Arizona needs to fill going into 2024 to be competitive in the NFC West?
We got holes for days, Dan. Holes throw a dart wherever you want. We got that hole everywhere. Cornerback, offensive line, interior defensive line, edge is not solidified. Wide receiver is not solidified. I mean, it's crazy how much holes the Cardinals have. If there's one that I really want the Cardinals to focus on, it's so hard because we've seen Kyler Murray not have a over 6 foot wide receiver this year. Because we built the way we built this offense was just so, I hated it. I hated it from the jump. Just a lot of small, speedy guys, and in the grand scheme of things, it's just not going to work. Michael Wilson is a rookie this year. We've seen him kind of develop into, hopefully he could become something good in the following years, but I really, really want to get Marvin Harrison Jr. Now, obviously, like the way the Cardinals feel right now, we're sitting at the 4th spot. We're really, really just kind of waiting to see what the Bears do. I feel like they're going to move off of Fields because it makes sense to kind of just restart over. But like them keeping their coach, it's a little worrisome. There was that whole interview with Cliff Kingsbury, and once I heard that, I was like, oh, that's it. They're gonna get Caleb. But like now, Cliff Kingsbury is being shopped around. I think last I heard, he's actually interviewing for an OC position with the Steelers. And I think the Eagles I heard as well. So like it's crazy. The Cardinals have holes. I think wide receiver and offensive line is definitely something we need to focus on for sure, whether free agency or the draft. DJ Humphries, our left tackle, ended up going down with a big injury. So we don't know if he's going to start in the beginning of the season. So we'll see. Maybe we might trade him. Maybe we might cut him. Really, I don't know. But that will definitely alleviate some more cap for the Cardinals. I think we're like upwards of like 50 plus, like 60 plus.
Yeah.
Just really depends like what we do. Like we can open up more room and we need everything we possibly can. So Marvin Harrison at 4 for sure if he's there.
So do me a favor and send Buddha over to the Bills for me this offseason.
That guy could still ball.
Yeah, no, Blue Baker is one of the best out there, and he still is. And he was one of the guys that I truly thought that the Cardinals were going to potentially move off of. We have some pieces that have value, and I'm surprised that we didn't. But Monty really likes him. The fan base really likes him. So obviously, I want to keep him here. I just thought it would be smart because of the season that we were having to move off. But I'm cool keeping him here.
Got it. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be the NFC West Roundtable. Yet another episode. Before we go, I do want to strongly encourage that you subscribe and show support to each and every single one of these members. They do a fantastic job of covering their own respective team. Love each and every single one of their content, and all of their channels can be found in the description of this video. Before we go, let's just go around the table, final thoughts, and let us all know what's going on your respective channels for the rest of the week, starting off with Jesse. What's going on with you, man?
Tap in at Last Second Sports. I'll be live here in 5 minutes. I mean, we are one game away from the Super Bowl bucket list game. I'm going to be there. I'll be on the field pre-game. I mean, this is a dream come true. Cannot believe it's actually happening. Go 49ers. Content coming fast and furious all week. And then the 2 weeks leading up to the Super Bowl, even more content. Get ready for it.
Beautiful. All right, Jake, what you got for us?
I like that he threw in the 2 weeks leading up to the Super Bowl. Like this.
Oh, I didn't. So, but nobody'd catch that one.
No, well, you always catch mine. Yeah, I'm going to be working on, just some free agency pieces, both writing and, videos. And I think I'm just going to dive into the draft pretty hard, this week. I already typed out every freaking name in the draft, so hopefully a bunch of names don't drop out now. But I got my database all set, and I'm ready to start scouting.
Looking forward to that. Mike, what's going on with you, man? What's going on with your channel? Talk to us.
Same thing that's been happening since December, man. It is off-season content. Basically what we're rolling with right now.
Out, man.
Nothing has changed, man. Obviously, Jonathan Gannon, the regime, but we're keeping them. They've showed some promise, so like there's really no force to be changed. So like off-season stuff is what you're really gonna get from my channel right now.
Beautiful, Norb.
I actually, even though the Seahawks are in the same boat as the Cardinals, I got a lot of exciting stuff going on. So you could look me up on all social media at NorbCam. But I'm going to be live streaming, as I always do, these championship games, rooting hard against you-know-who. But a lot of other videos leading up to that. I actually have an alter ego character who's a diehard 49ers fan. So you're going to not want to miss the video I'm dropping about that this week. But more importantly, I'm actually going to the Super Bowl, even though my team isn't. Because as the Seahawks official fan of the year, I'm one of 32 fans who got sent by their organizations to go to the Super
I love
Bowl,
it.
baby. Yes, sir.
I love it.
So
You get to
I'm gonna
watch
be
the
down there with
Niners
my
win it in
dad.
person. That's gonna be great.
We're gonna take. Oh no. That's why I'm rooting the way I am. I was like, oh god, if I have to see all the red and the audience,
Better bring that alter ego with you.
Yeah, no, he's gonna go sit in the couch back home. No, but so it's gonna be great. And me and my dad are gonna be down there, so I'm gonna document the whole trip so you guys can see what it's like to go down to the Super Bowl and experience that through a fan of the year perspective. So looking forward to that. And actually, Good Morning Football on the 30th of this month is gonna do a little profile. They've done it for I think all the other fans, and the 30th will be my day. So looking forward to the broadcast. If you have Good Morning Football on NFL Network, watch that episode on the 30th because I'll be on there at some point when they'll do a little shout out. So yeah, so this has been a great season. Even though it sucks for our team, this has personally been a season of a lifetime. So I as much as I bitch about what teams are moving forward, I'm looking forward to seeing the end and being able to see that in person. It's been a lifetime experience so far.
So was there a voting process as far as
it's funny that you should ask.
If
you go to the NFL.com and just look up fan of the year, they'll show all 32 in there, and you can find me on there and vote for me as many times as you want. Or somebody else, but preferably vote for me. But so yes, there is a voting portion. It's not entirely based on vote. That's a portion of their, because from that, at the NFL honors, they will pick the NFL fan of the year of the 32. So we'll find that out at that night. So it'll be fun to see who it'll be. So
hey Richie, would you mind putting this on? Because I kind of you got Grossi up there too, I see. But
Grossi's up there, yes, competing with Mr. Grossi, who had heartbreak.
I am going to make it my personal mission to make sure, and everybody in this chat and everyone that has a platform, Norb, we are going to make it our personal mission to make sure that you get anointed the NFL Fan of the Year.
I love it.
Appreciate it, man.
That I can do it. Richie, I'm sharing my screen right here. There it is.
There we go. What's up? Let's go.
Dude.
Let's go.
Dude. All right, listen, man. This is how it's playing out. Super excited about that. Ladies and gentlemen, go vote for Norb 100 times a piece if you are watching.
Appreciate it.
And then we will certainly
currently voting for him now. So
you guys are awesome. I love this network. You guys are awesome. Fantastic crew.
Did not even waste a second. I'm on it right now.
You are the man.
All right, Norb. So, how do I vote here, dude? There you go.
There you go. Hit that little button. It's going to ask you for an email, and then you can click on your selection, man. That's it. And you can vote as many times as you want.
Hey, Richie, just do me a favor and hide the screen real fast. I don't want anybody sending me emails.
Do you want to be spammed by all these hundreds of thousands of soon-to-be fans of the Roundtable NFC West?
Dude, holy hell, man. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to yet another edition of the NFC West Roundtable. We will be back next week, same time as always, to unpack everything that happened during the NFC Championship. And for Jesse's sake, hopefully starting to preview the Super Bowl going into it. So subscribe if you haven't already. Smash that like button. And as always, we'll see you next week.